Ever been scrolling through your partner's social media and felt that sudden, sinking feeling in your stomach? That flash of heat, that tightness in your chest? You're not just being crazy or insecure, your brain is actually being tricked. Social media platforms have become a breeding ground for jealousy and anxiety. Studies confirm that spending more time on platforms like Instagram can lead to lower relationship satisfaction and more conflict. But this isn't some personal failing, it's a neurological reality. These apps tap into ancient, hardwired parts of your brain, twisting your perception of reality and turning what should be a healthy relationship into a source of constant, low-grade stress. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on the 7 surprising ways jealousy tricks your brain online. We'll explore the specific psychological traps these apps lay for you and, most importantly, show you how to take back control. Because understanding the trick is the first step to breaking its spell. The first and most powerful trick is what I call the highlight reel hallucination. Social media isn't real life. It's a carefully curated art gallery of life's best moments. You're seeing the 5-star vacation photos, the candlelit anniversary dinners, the perfectly filtered selfies. You're not seeing the argument they had in the rental car, the stress of paying the bills, or the messy, beautiful reality of everyday life. But here's the problem. Your brain doesn't automatically get the memo. It instinctively compares your own life, your messy, unfiltered, behind-the-scenes reality to the polished highlight reels of everyone else. This creates a powerful illusion that other people's relationships are more exciting, more perfect, and more romantic than yours. Neurologically, this kicks off a process called upward social comparison, which studies have directly linked to feelings of inadequacy and lower self-esteem. Your brain sees this gap between your reality and their curated perfection and interprets it as a personal failure, tricking you into feeling that your relationship is somehow lacking. For example, you see a friend post about a surprise weekend getaway. Suddenly, that quiet, normal evening you and your partner just enjoyed feels boring and insufficient. That feeling isn't a true measure of your relationship's health. It's a manufactured response to a distorted picture of someone else's. You're comparing your everyday to their extraordinary, and that's a comparison you can never win. The second way your brain gets tricked is by the Ambiguity Amplifier. Social media interactions are just little digital breadcrumbs, totally stripped of real context. A like, a comment, a new follow, these are tiny ambiguous bits of data that your brain has to interpret without tone, body language, or any of the other cues we rely on in the real world. When you see your partner like an ex's photo, or get a comment with a winky face emoji from a stranger, your brain's threat detection system, the amygdala, can go into overdrive. This ancient part of your brain, wired to handle threats, doesn't know the difference between a real-world rival and a pixelated profile picture. It just detects a potential threat to your relationship and sounds the alarm. Studies show this ambiguity is a perfect breeding ground for jealousy, because our minds race to fill in the missing information, often jumping to the worst-case scenario. Think about it. In real life, if your partner laughed at a coworker's joke, you'd see the whole picture. You'd see their body language, the group setting, the casual vibe. Online, all you see is a digital footprint, a heart on a photo. Your brain is left to weave a story around that single, ambiguous click. And it often weaves a tale of secret intimacy or betrayal, tricking you into feeling jealous over something that was likely completely innocent. The third trick is the creation of a digital surveillance loop. Ever felt that compulsive urge to check your partner's followers, their tagged photos, or who they've recently followed? That isn't just curiosity. It's a behavioral loop that social media is designed to reinforce. This behavior is fueled by what's known as a variable reward schedule, the exact same mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive. Here's how it works. Sometimes you check their profile and find nothing, so your anxiety goes down. Other times, you find something ambiguous like a new, attractive follower, and your jealousy spikes. That unpredictability is what gets you hooked. Your brain gets a little hit of dopamine, not from finding something bad, but from the simple anticipation and the emotional roller coaster. This process rewires the habit-forming parts of your brain to crave the checking behavior. But this obsessive monitoring doesn't actually make you feel more secure. In fact, research shows it's a feedback loop. Using platforms like Facebook can expose you to jealousy-provoking information, which leads to more surveillance, which in turn exposes you to more triggers. You're essentially tricked into believing that surveillance equals security. when in reality, it's an addiction cycle that only fuels more distrust and anxiety. The fourth trick is how social media weaponizes the past, creating what's called retroactive jealousy. Before social media, your partner's past relationships were just stories and faded memories. Now they exist as a permanent digital archive. With a few clicks, you can scroll back through years of your partner's life and see photos, comments, and inside jokes with their exes. And it's incredibly common. A 2020 study found that 53% of social media users say they've used it to check up on an ex. Your brain isn't equipped to process this information rationally. When you see a picture of your partner looking happy with someone else, even if it was years ago, the parts of your brain associated with social pain and rejection, like the cingulate cortex, can light up. It feels like a present-day threat. You start comparing yourself to the ex. Were they happier? Was she prettier? Did they have more fun? You're essentially competing with a memory, a carefully preserved digital ghost that you can never measure up to. Let's say you have a minor disagreement with your partner, and in a moment of insecurity, you look up their ex on Instagram. You see a photo of them on a trip to Paris. Immediately, your brain is tricked into thinking, he never took me to Paris. Now you're not just upset about the current argument. You're feeling inadequate and jealous of a relationship that ended long before you came along. The fifth trick is one of the most sneaky, the silent scroll spiral. You might think that just lurking on social media without posting is harmless. But study after study shows it's one of the most powerful drivers of jealousy, loneliness, and depressive symptoms. When you're just passively observing, your brain is in full-on comparison mode. You're an audience member watching hundreds of other lives unfold. This one-way interaction amplifies feelings of isolation. Your brain is tricked into a state of social observation without social participation. This is a classic recipe for FOMO, or the fear of missing out, that gnawing anxiety that other people are having more rewarding experiences than you are. Studies have consistently shown that this passive use is strongly correlated with a decline in well-being. Imagine you're home on a Friday night, silently scrolling through your feed. You see videos of parties you weren't invited to, and you see your partner's friends out having fun. Even if you chose a quiet night in, your brain is bombarded with evidence of social exclusion. That feeling of being left out, combined with the curated perfection of everyone's posts, is a potent formula for jealousy and insecurity. The sixth trick is maybe the most fundamental of all, the evolutionary mismatch. Your brain's jealousy circuits are ancient. They evolved over millennia in small, tight-knit communities to help our ancestors protect their relationships and ensure their genetic survival. Social media hijacks this primitive system. Your brain can't tell the difference between a real-life romantic rival and a stranger who left a flame emoji. That ancient, hardwired circuitry fires up all the same. Brain regions involved in pair bonding and aggression towards intruders can become part of the response. Your body gets flooded with stress hormones like cortisol, preparing you for a conflict that doesn't actually exist. This is a perfect evolutionary mismatch. You're bringing a caveman's brain to a 21st century digital fight. This explains why the jealousy feels so visceral and uncontrollable. When you see a notification that your partner started following someone new, and you feel that primal surge of suspicion, that's your ancient brain being tricked by a digital signal. The system designed to protect your lineage is now being triggered constantly by meaningless online interactions, leaving you in a state of chronic anxiety. Finally, the seventh trick is the empathy distortion field. Healthy communication runs on empathy, the ability to read nonverbal cues. Social media strips all of that away. When a conflict starts because of an online interaction, you can't have a normal conversation. Instead, you're usually stuck arguing over text messages. This text-based conflict is a minefield of misinterpretation. Without tone and body language, your brain often defaults to a negative reading of the written word. A simple one-word answer like fine can feel dismissive. Some fMRI studies on jealousy suggest that men's and women's brains can show different patterns of activity when imagining infidelity. This can create a fundamental disconnect where one partner feels attacked and the other feels misunderstood, all because the platform has distorted empathy. For instance, you text your partner, "Why did you like your ex's picture?" They reply, "It's not a big deal." Over text, that can feel incredibly invalidating. In person, you might see that they're genuinely confused by your concern, not dismissive. Social media tricks you by creating a communication vacuum where empathy breaks down, turning small misunderstandings into major conflicts. So, we've seen how social media can create a perfect storm for jealousy. It builds a highlight reel hallucination, amplifies ambiguity, traps you in a surveillance loop, resurrects digital ghosts, punishes you for silently scrolling, hijacks your ancient survival instincts, and shatters empathy. It sounds overwhelming, but the solution isn't necessarily to delete all your apps and move to a cabin in the woods. The real power is in awareness and communication. Now that you know the tricks, you can spot them in real time. When you feel that pang of jealousy, you can pause and ask yourself, is this real? Or is this the ambiguity amplifier at work? Am I comparing my entire life to their highlight reel? Am I stuck in a surveillance loop? This awareness is your shield. It lets you separate the manufactured anxiety from the reality of your relationship. The next crucial step is to talk to your partner not from a place of accusation, but from a place of vulnerability. Say, hey, I know this sounds silly, but when I see things like this online, my brain starts telling me a crazy story. Can you help me understand what's real? By understanding these 7 tricks, you reclaim your power. You're no longer a passive victim of an algorithm designed to keep you insecure. You're an informed user who can navigate the digital world with intention and protect what truly matters, your peace of mind and real-world relationships. I'm genuinely curious, which of these tricks have you experienced the most? Was it the highlight reel, the ghost of the past, or that silent scroll spiral? Share your experience in the comments below. Reading through them helps all of us feel a little less alone in this. And if this video helped you see social media in a new light, consider subscribing for more content on psychology, relationships, and navigating our wild modern world. Thanks for watching.